Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the transit moon conjunct one's natal Jupiter. Now, when we're talking about transits of the moon in astrology, it could be about how we're feeling, or issues with sensitivity, emotionality, emotional expression, also what we may nurture. Now, given that we're talking about the transit moon contacting one's natal Jupiter, this could manifest in feeling, as far as the feeling energy, sensitivity, emotionality, and nurturing energy being directed toward religion. If you have this in Aquarius, it could be a very unorthodox religion. In Capricorn, it could be one that just very, you could say orthodox, but I don't mean like Greek Orthodox. I'm talking about one that's more conventional. There could be more of an inclination to take care of, could be one's in-laws. It may be something where we're more sensitive to issues with them or something they may say to us. It could also be about feeling more like expanding your horizons, and say, if you have this, say in Virgo, for example, it could be doing something Virgo related. It could be doing some kind of statistical analysis, something very detail oriented, and maybe you start something, you want to do some, just feel like doing some position with data entry, something that could require very strong focus on details in things and whatever it is you're doing, detailing vehicles. It may be something health related, but now another thing too, this is a time Jupiter is also associated with philosophy, so it could be a time where you might be more sensitive regarding just your belief system in philosophy, whether it might be criticized or you might become more emotional about your opinions, your philosophy on something. If you're in some kind of debate with somebody, it could be where you may become a little bit more upset and might be expressing more emotion regarding this at this time. The thing is though, this transit only lasts, I mean, on average about 10 hours, because I'm using the 3-degree applying as far as the conjunction. Transit moon making the applying conjunction to Jupiter 3 degrees, and the separating conjunction 2 degrees, 5 degrees total. And when the moon moves about, like, on average, roughly 1 degree every 2 hours, so it's about 10 hours. So it's not something that's going to really be prolonged, whether it manifests as something good or negative for you. Now, it could also be more jocular feelings at this time, and being more jovial. Jupiter is the planet that is very jocular, to say the absolute least. You might feel more like expressing some kind of humor at this time. If it's indoors, it might be body humor. But as an example, this is something too. Looking at this, it's also where it's more about feeling, more about traveling abroad at this time. It might be, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to do that, because I mean, you're going to have this transit's going to come around roughly once a month anyway. But the thing about it is, it's something where you might, even if it's just in your mind, you may feel more like taking that long distance journey. Basically, say if you have this in Pisces, it could be one that, again, could really be about what you fantasize about more than rather than actually do it. It might also be more, this could be at some point, there might be more sensitive issues with foreigners. You might feel you may be caring for them more. It could be through some like charitable outlet, like sponsoring. It could be a child that might be in another country. And also, this is more about how you feel about going outdoors at this time. It could be something where it might satisfy more of an emotional need, especially if you're, like, say, if you're somebody that has a very introverted, introspective chart like mine, and you haven't been out for some time, and this transit takes place in the daytime when you're awake, you might feel there might be more of a propensity to actually indulge and enjoy the outdoors more so than usual at this time. Now, it could also be at this time as well. Jupiter also can be associated with sports, so it's something where you might be more emotional about sports, whether it's watching it on TV or whether you're engaging in some, recreational sports or what have you. If it's in Scorpio, it could be extreme sports. It might be something you just want to do more. You feel more like doing more so than usual. Now, anatomically, Jupiter can be associated with the hips, the pancreas, the sciatic nerve, and also the liver. So if something were to happen um, at this time, I mean, if you have any of these issues ongoing, I would say especially this could be something where you might become more sensitive to, more upset about, more so than usual, especially if you're experiencing some kind of very strong pain and you're in like some abject misery as a result of any of these issues. Now, another thing is that remember that Jupiter is associated with publishing. Um, so this could be something too where it could be an auspicious period, though the transit does not last that long, for doing something very, publishing. The moon is associated with the public. So it can be very positive for doing something, getting your work out to the public if you are involved in publishing. And it could also be matters connected with your higher education, your post-high school studies that you might become more upset about, more so than usual, have more sensitivity to. If you're in a situation, especially if you're lacking college credentials, or you don't have really anything, or you never went to college, if somebody says something, talks about, say hypothetically, talks about their college experience, it might make you feel, a little bit more down or something, more so than usual at this time. But on the positive side, when you have this transit, this could often result very good jocular, jovial feelings and feeling very positive. So anyway, and this is more to remember, the moon is also associated with the home and the family. So the home and family might be more prominent in long distance journeys at this time. If this is in Pisces, say, it could be by sea, uh, taking a boat or a ship to where you're going to go in order to get to another country. And this is also too in the family, and might figure, people you're close to home with might figure more prominently, and you're feeling more exuberant and enthusiastic at this time, more so than usual. And they might be those pepper uppers, especially if you're feeling somewhat despondent, disconsolate, and down at this time. And also Jupiter is associated with prosperity. So remember that the moon again is associated with the public. And if this is in Gemini as an example, it could be through doing something with journalism or something with dexterity, strong use of the hands, such as doing auto or refrigeration mechanics. Now, another thing is that this is also, it could be some involvement like with liquids, like with importing, exporting some kind of liquids. The moon could be associated with fluids and liquids, and of course Jupiter can be associated with importing and exporting. If you're in that business, it could be a time where maybe it's very beneficial at this time. And also too, remember that Jupiter, as I've spoken about in previous videos, could be very paradoxical, could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but also could have a tendency to enlarge and expand. So this could manifest in the enlargement of the emotions. And if it's in Sagittarius, for example, it could be very jocular, very jovial emotions, but in Scorpio it could be very intense, even convoluted emotional energy. At this time too, if you're involved in sports, recreational level, what have you, you might be more inclined toward doing so with home family members, people you're close to home with. This is also this is something, when say if it's in Gemini, it could be ones that require, Gemini like sports that require quick reactions and responses. It could be like playing badminton or racquetball as an example. And also too, this could be a time as well where there might be more, feeling more like getting involved, like doing something with exploration. If this is in Scorpio, it could be like exploring something very mysterious, like the ancient pyramids. Uh, It does. This could also be a time to remember that the moon is also associated with our memories and nostalgia. This could be a time where you might be feeling more nostalgic about more things associated with sports, with humor. Going back to Taurus again, could be like body humor, or so with Gemini, it could be some kind of animation or cartoon shows you may have watched in the past. You might want to go, go on your TV and maybe revisit, try to revisit some of those cartoons in some cases. Hold on a moment, people. Anyway, and also, too, what's important to remember about this transit is that emotions may cloud perhaps your judgment in Jupiterian things like college or publishing, traveling abroad. So I think what's imperative is to put your emotions in check and or these matters on check perhaps until after the transit ends. And again, it really doesn't last that long anyway. It's only like about 10 hours, and it's not like, I know there's a lot of good in it. It's feeling very positive, upbeat, you know really emotional energy, but it's like, I would still say it's better to wait until after it ends, and then just feed off that positive energy that you had during the transit and follow up on what you had maybe planned out as far as those Jupiterian things. Now, it's also, this could manifest too in caring for your beliefs. Foreigners, it could be people at a religious congregation if you're involved in it, and also about your own happiness. I mean, whether, say, again, going back to the sign Sagittarius, whether it could be going through outdoors, doing something publishing related, sports as an example, the things that are going to make you feel happier at this time. Uh, the thing is, if this happens at night, you're not going to really may not feel these effects really that much, but keep in mind the moon is also about our unconscious and subconscious. Now, it could be a time when you're, could be, asleep, where there might be something, Jupiterian, maybe, what you're thinking about in your dream, I should say in your dreams when you're sleeping. And these are things too, like, it could be matters like with sports or something. There might be something going on, in your unconscious in your sleep at this time. Anything that could be Jupiter related, and also too, it could expand unconscious energy and make it come out a little bit more, going more on your intuition in matters as well, and your intuition maybe figuring more prominently in Jupiterian related things, again, such as like publishing or in-laws, and matters with foreigners, expanding horizons, etc. So, and also, this could be a time, remember that the moon is associated with the stomach, the chest, the breast, and the left or right eye, depending on gender. So it could actually enlarge issues with them if you do have, especially if you actually have any issues to begin with at this time. The moon is about water retention, so it could enlarge issues with that. There might be some little water, uh, weight gain from water during this time. That might be a little bit more so than what you're used to. And again, the fact that it's only about 10 hours on average, it's not something that is generally will affect you that seriously. When you have the opposite happen, when you have transit Jupiter contacting your natal moon, of course that's going to last a lot longer than this transit that I'm describing, and that could be, more about the water retention. If you have issues with that, that might last a little bit. That's going to likely last a little bit longer than in that case. But anyway, could also be very fortuitous for prosperity from the home and family. If you're doing, if it's in the zodiac sign Cancer, could be like through home renovation or remodeling, or roofing, real estate. And also, this is a time where prominent women in your life scheme might figure stronger, play more of an integral role in your philosophy, your religion, at this time. It could be matters connected with publishing as well, uh, expanding horizons, maybe even abstract thinking. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.